So right now, what I'm doing is
Yeah, there's another lady that interviewed us. I don't know if she has a plan, but she's gonna have to edit them all. Does anybody have any questions they want to raise on the
Hey guys, we don't have a microphone up here, so I'm just gonna have to speak out. Firstly, I want to thank you guys for coming on such short notice. We are also live streaming this so that people that couldn't be here can watch. They have also submitted questions that we will be, Ashley will be asking to the mayor and to the representative from the EPA. I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute. Norfolk Southern had agreed to be here. They canceled last minute this morning and decided not to join us. This derailment has started to divide our community, which is what they want. I believe that we can agree to disagree in a respectful manner. And if we don't come together and stand together as a community in solidarity, we're going to get rushed under the rug again. So I am starting a unity council. Anybody that would like to sit on that to represent all the different facets of society. Again, we're not all going to agree on everything in the room, and that's fine. Some of us will agree. It's also to information share, and so that we have a message that comes in solidarity from the community. It's time for us to start creating our own narrative and quit letting our narrative be controlled by Norfolk Southern. So welcome. I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure everybody signed in, got a flyer about upcoming meetings. And Ashley, would you like to say a couple of words?
The reason why I thought this was important for everyone to get together and really talk is because I have people that contact me through messages on social media, text messages, people I've met along the road, different concerns, either short-term or long-term. And one thing that we realized is that we aren't hearing a long-term solution, and no one's really giving us that answer. And if we kind of see where we correlate with a long-term, and kind of work together together, we're going to be ready to work together. See if we can get to that point where we all feel safe. Because short-term, what I'm hearing, we don't feel safe with.
You guys like to hear?
Trent Conaway, Mayor of the Village of East Palestine. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully we can be calm and get some of the questions answered, and what we can't get answered, I have a tablet, we'll write it down. We'll try to get it answered. I don't know if Norfolk would have been here. They're the ones that need to answer a lot of these questions, but we'll do the best we can.
And my name is Mark Turnell. I'm with the EPA, the Measuring Station in the Cleveland area. I didn't grow up too far from here. I'm from Warren, Ohio. So give you a little bit of background about me and why I think my background is important. I worked the Flint drinking water incident back in 2016, and one thing I learned from that incident is trust doesn't rebuild easily, and in some cases it never rebuilds. I still spend time up there with some of my colleagues, and there are still people in that community 7 years later that don't trust the drinking water system up there. You can understand why. But what is also important is continuity. The reason that some of my coworkers and I still maintain a presence in that community is so that we can answer questions. You have many questions today, and as the mayor said, I can't answer all your questions. I certainly can't answer your health questions, but I can address some of the things that might relate to your health questions. But I and some of my colleagues have committed to stay here until we can, at a minimum, get through the main part of the contamination cleanup, which is going to take some time. It's going to take several months. I'm sure some of your questions relate to that, so I'll wait till we get to this. But I just wanted to make sure you understand the context of why it's important to help stabilize things by you guys seeing the same faces over and over again. So you don't have to ask the same questions over and over again. So I hope that helps.
I just want to introduce myself. My name is Suja Jennis. I live in town. I've been working a lot with Ashley and a couple other people here, just to kind trying to get us answers, and, you know, I don't believe what we're being told, for the most part, because so many of us are getting sick, and it feels wrong. I'm glad to see everybody that came out tonight, and we just want to go like table to table. If anyone has any questions for anybody up here, or if you just want to express your long-term and short-term concerns, we'll start. And if you don't want to say anything, go ahead and pass to the next table.
Trent, who gave authorization for them to be able to use the park?
I do not know. It wasn't myself. It was a situation that was ongoing, and I think they just sort of did it themselves. And as soon as we found out about it, they weren't up there that long, and we tried to get them the hell out of there. I was very upset. I was considered a man more time. As soon as I found out, get them out of there. But yes, I think they sort of just did it themselves.
Yeah, so and that's what I wanted. Strong arm.
Well, it wasn't necessarily strong arm. I just think that everybody that wouldn't make that decision was busy in incident command, and it sort of just, they came in and then we were like, hold up here. So I do want to say it was just socks, and they have done all those testing. So far, the preliminary test, everything looks good. They did all the soil samples all around the edge. They're going to dig up. They're going to put sod down where it was tore up and stuff like that.
Where can we see the results?
Yes, everything will be made public on the EPA's website. There was joint testing with was it you guys or was it
So our
He can answer that.
Yeah. So Arcadis did the testing with our oversight, and we also collected split samples just to make sure that the data was quality. 7 samples were collected at various locations around the park. I've seen all the preliminary data and everything below, even residential screening levels, meaning individual yards or 24/7.
Chemical vapor for dioxin?
Dioxin, yes, dioxin as a for they came back. And we're waiting for two of the samples. We have the preliminaries, but they haven't been quality checked yet, and I'm actually hoping to get them in today. I want to make sure the city has them in their hands before the event.
And then go piggyback on that, the event, the permit's still not signed. They advertise, but the permit's not going to be signed when we get to the vote. So I want to ease all that. I know there was some stuff on social media. I've sort of just taken myself off social media because it's just, I just can't do that. Permit's still not signed. It's sitting on Tracy's desk, and she's agreed with me. We won't sign it until we get all the results and they're verified. We're also working with the company because we're not scientists. We're a mayor and a village manager. So we're working with the company that was announced last night. It was emergency legislation that we, I forget the name of the company. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll get it for you. And they're gonna go over all the data because we're just looking at numbers on a page. We just have to trust what people are telling us. So we're gonna have, the EPA is gonna tell us one thing. We're hiring our own independent consultants to tell us what the results are. So.
I heard that was also a concern with people that have their own private property. We did notice EPA agents using their property in a manner that they weren't okay with, so that's kind of the same thing. Is there anyone that we should contact if that happens again that you know of?
Sure. So let me explain that. I think I know what you're talking about. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. With the soil sampling program that we're currently doing, if you see the teams collecting samples right next to the road in the city's right of way, we're doing that. That's actually city property within the first couple of feet of the road. So we're doing that so we can get rapid samples collected from those locations. We cannot go into the yard to collect samples. So we can do it right next to the street, but we can't go 10 feet into the yard to collect samples. So if that's what you're referring to.
There was an issue with someone that had run off water or a creek that was on their property. There was 2 other people. One had contaminated things being pulled out of the water and put onto their property instead of taking it the other direction. So now there is further contaminant from the water that is
Well, that's a problem.
so I just wasn't sure, and I've heard that more than once, so I think that's typical. And for what he's saying, it does make sense that it possibly was done, and no one was aware of it as well. So I do think that's an issue.
actually think I know who that was, who done this whole run. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, we could get those names. I'm pretty sure I know one of them is the top of the list.
Okay, would there be anyone you could suggest now that we could contact in case that happens further?
I'd call our welcome center. I don't have the number on me, but contact us. We can reach out to the railroad and get one of our people down there and make sure that that's not happening. That should be happening.
It's disposable time, that's for kids, it's for family reunions, sports events, practice, picnics, fireworks show, that's food. The perks of that.
I have another part of that question before we go on to something else. You said about the soil samples. Are you absolutely testing for every byproduct, chemical? There's more than, there's a lot that needs to be tested that has not been tested. So we need every possible one that was on that train that could have been produced. And we're, as citizens, we're not going to accept nothing less than that from city, EPA, railroad, all complete testing of all of that.
So in the plan, I'll explain what we're testing for. And in the plan, you can see the whole list of chemicals. It's a whole page full of chemicals that we have listed in the plan. That you can find on our website. I'm sure Linda can point you to it because she's researched it more than I have. But semi-volatile organics are the primary indicator chemical that we expect to see from any burning. Okay, so we're doing the whole list of semi-volatile organics. Okay?
Thank you.
And because of our concern over dioxins and furans, we're also doing the whole list of dioxins and furans.
Benzene?
Benzene is a volatile. We wouldn't expect that. Benzene will volatilize and burn like that. So we're not doing the volatiles because, again, once they got in the air, they're gone. They can throw
What if it comes back in your system,
What's that?
the benzene?
So-
I've had my blood work in my urine tested, and I do have benzene and chloride in my urine.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I just got a phone call when I pulled into the parking lot today from my doctor. I took my vinyl chloride urine test 2 weeks ago. I initially wanted it a month ago when I wasn't feeling well. My doctor is the doctor that the health clinic in town refers me to. I went there and he told me if I'm running testing, go to the emergency room. Well, I don't know what kind of insurance everybody else has, but for me, that's expensive to go to the emergency room to get testing. When I was told that they could do it, the doctor could order it. He refused to order it. He was with me, we were both flabbergasted. So then sometime later, after being on Fox News with Dr. Siegel, I get a phone call from my doctor. Oh, well, we'll do those tests now.
No.
Surprise. So I just had the test done 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago. And they called me today and said, I'm positive for vinyl chloride. So everybody who's been at the town hall meeting probably heard me pop into the microphone and say, it disappears like pixie dust. Because it goes, and it'll be out of your system. No point to test to it after a couple of days or weeks after the exposure. I'm 2.9 miles away, and I work in Pennsylvania. How in the hell am I testing positive if this stuff isn't around or in the air? And why was I sick? And everybody's saying, oh, well, it's just for, the fumes aren't bad. This was 8 days only. The fumes were not bad. And, smells can't hurt you. And that a lot of it was the power of suggestion. Just because one of us says that we're sick, we all want to jump on the bandwagon. Because, I have cancer. So anybody else feel like having cancer? Like, that's totally not how it works. And a lot of us that had the symptoms know that they were very real. So I don't understand how, I'm like jaw-dropped that I tested positive for it. I never thought that would have happened. So how can that happen if it's not in the air? I don't live in the 1 mile radius, because that's the hot zone. And I work in Pennsylvania, and I spend very limited time. The only time I come to town, Mark. So, or is for the meetings? How can that be? So that's my question. How does that happen?
So let me make sure, because I would make sure I have my notes right, so I can pass this along. Like I said, on the medical side,
Right.
I don't
That's
know a lot,
okay.
right? Because that's not what I do. But you said benzene and vinyl chloride, right? And you
Yeah,
said,
you have fencing.
I do live in the hot zone. I'm right there, but yes, I
okay,
do have.
and you're vinyl chloride, so I just want to make sure I have
I
that
don't
right.
know if they even tested my urine for that. They may have had, different testing. I was told that my urine analysis was just specific to vinyl chloride.
Okay. Like I said, I can pass that on in terms of exposures. Your question, your guess is as good as mine, because we have real-time mobile laboratories and electrical equipment driving around town all day. You guys
Around town, but not 2.9 miles
I
out.
understand. I understand. I
So
get
that
that.
little
Yeah.
that went over, and I'm nearby Leslie Run, but supposedly there's no vinyl chloride in that. That's the butyl
That's the
acrylate.
butyl, right?
So I just don't even understand that how I would not be exposed to it. I mean, that was the least of my worries. I was like, oh, I don't even think that's going to be necessary.
And I think that's kind of the elephant in the room, is that people are sick. And we keep being told that everything's okay.
Well, you're not here to hear it.
Right, and to speak, what you said about people just hearing these symptoms and getting them, I've met with people that have 10-month-old babies. I've met with people that have autistic children that don't have the wherewithal of what's going on in the community that's sick. And as far as the testing, we need some kind of guidance as to, what we get tested for, who can do the test. And I know that that's, you're outside of that medical realm, but if you could point us in the direction of someone that can get us that information.
I think April 10th, the new clinic opens and it's being taken over by East Liverpool City Hospital. I know.
I'm all hospitals. I'm all hospitals. Just take like the old Alcoa.
That's what I don't understand. Why are they making them sick? Do they want one tons or no relief?
So, the question is heart symptoms,
It's that bad.
right? And that's what you're all asking.
Right.
Yeah, and who do we talk to get like my answer? I would like an answer. My doctor's gonna be like, I don't know, because they're not a chemist, they're not a toxicologist. Toxicologists are owned by Norfolk. So
Well,
who do I ask?
so that's one of my take back questions from this meeting, is to try and answer that question for you.
I think the papers we passed out too in the beginning, if you want to write your specific question on the back, if you want to write your specific question on the back of that paper, we can make a list, and I assume you would be willing to take that and give us a timely manner when you answer it. Or at least answer what you can, and then tell us when you can continue to answer those questions.
There's also QR codes on those papers for that too. The QR codes.
Have you tried it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and we do have toxicologists that are associated with us. Keith? Oh, yeah, Keith utilized them. Yeah, but we do have his replacement.
Other questions from that table?
I have a question, and I don't mean this, it might sound disrespectful, but it is not as fair.
It's okay.
As a village, as a whole, have you sought any legal counsel at all? And is that might be a silly question?
As a city.
Yes.
As the village?
Yes,
Okay. So,
because it's so big, because it is bigger than anybody's ever done it before. I don't mean it disrespectfully at all.
no, we are out of our league on this one. I will be the first one to admit it. So, yes and no. We have, they're consulting. Because as of right now, we are getting everything we need as the village. I know not the people, please don't take that wrong. As the village, we are. As soon as you involve a lawyer, everything's going to stop and the funds are going to dry up, and then we're going to wait years. We need to get everything. They pay for all the fire equipment. Everybody uses that. Your house is on fire, you want people to be able to come put it out. They just paid for new filters for the water. or what they are is a carbon filler. They're calling it a polisher. So it'll just clean up the water even more. It'll be a better tasting water. It'll be, but there is nothing wrong with the water. Everything that we've seen, the water flows south from that area, like the aquifer flows. But we want to be, we're being proactive. So we put in they're charcoal water filters, and they, like I said, they polish the water, they really clean the water. It's a proactive thing. So if, you get a bad result now, then, oh, shit, what are you going to do? So,
Do you test before that?
yes, we test raw water, and we test after we clean it. So then when these get put in, it'll be raw water in the line, and then after it goes through this. And before, the EPA, Ohio EPA, we only had to test every 3 years, was the only time we ever tested. That's the only time we ever tested for volatile organic. Now, when we do big repairs or big stuff like that, we would test, and we wouldn't wait 3 years. But now we're testing every week. So literally, you're getting 150 times more testing. Actually, 156 times more testing than you would before all this happened. So it's a positive thing. And we still test daily as far as quality. We don't do like VOCs every day, but every day they test water to make sure, bacteria and stuff like that.
Yeah. And to add to what the mayor said, you had mentioned VOCs earlier, benzene. So that's where I have concerns. I have concerns about, how much material will remain in the ground in the longer term, right? So the removal plan is to take everything out into those tracks. We know that some contamination is spread laterally, so we're going to, the railroad, under our oversight, is going to have to chase the waste and get as much as we can out. But there's no way to achieve 100% cleanup. If I told you that, I'd be lying.
How deep are they going?
So my concern will always be long-term, making sure there's proper groundwater monitoring in place. Even though the water table doesn't look like it's flowing, as the mayor said, flowing towards municipal wells, there has to be monitoring. So the state's already installed a couple extra monitoring wells, and they will install more once all the remediation.
To piggyback off that question, can you explain to everybody, because it's a big concern with the .1 being tested in your home and these chemicals being well below .1. So you explained it to me. This is a big question.
Happy to. I just want to finish my point earlier. That's where the VOCs, when they're in the air, they're evaporating. They're breaking down quick. When they're in the ground, they don't. And so that has to be part of the monitoring program. Let me finish your question.
Yes, we have consulted outside counsel with us, giving us recommendations, stuff like that. But yes, hopefully we get everything we need and we never have to sue. That's probably a pipe dream. So, but yes, we have, and we have outside environmental consultants.
My concern is the aquifer. We obviously went, when you had the open house, which was very nice, we know how close that aquifer is. Now with that flood that Governor DeWine said was planned, which we know that was not. We understand that was surface water, but our aquifer is right there. That's going to sink in, correct? That's going to sink into our water supply. I mean, it was that whole, we saw how much was flooded.
There is a minute possibility it could.
Okay.
Minute. And like I said, everything we have in place now, we're all right. And then anything we're going to put in place will be fine before it would ever reach that.
And then what I understand is the separation, it's all loamy soil, it's not clay. So aren't we kind of really playing a game here, a little too close for comfort with the sulfur run and the end of our aquifer?
Every expert we've talked to said they think we'll be fine.
Okay.
It's the people that have the wells downstream that are the biggest concern.
And just to be clear, this is the drinking water.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is municipal. Yeah.
Right, I think sometimes people get confused
Yeah, I'm
between
sorry,
treated
we're talking
water and
about
the drinking
The
water.
aquifer ends right down there.
There was a big split, and I always tried when I talked to explain it after a while, but there was a big split of we said our water is not contaminated. Our drinking water's been fine. I've drank it the whole time. And anybody that said they were like getting problems from that water, that was the same water you had on the second and you had all the way through. People with wells, that would be very concerning.
Yes.
My parents live in Negley. I was raised in Negley, so, you know, on well water, and, you know, the water hasn't been down there, you know, it wasn't very good to begin with. Now with this,
It's not deep.
yeah, it's not deep at all. It's all sand and gravel, and, you know, so yes, that is a big concern.
Why are they seem to help too, Negley people?
Thank
It's been a
you.
month since all this is going on, and they're not getting the help.
We're not getting any help.
Why is it always in the 1 mile mark of this situation? It took a month for our community to raise hell to get the help. It's been a month sitting there, and there's been more people affected if it would have gotten taken care of the first time.
Yep.
There hasn't even been nobody reaching out.
No, there hasn't.
Any well testing?
I mean, I live right.
They wanted to get East Palestine done first, while those people are still sitting there, still being affected.
Negley has had limited well testing down in Negley that's right along Leslie Run, but that's about the extent of it, and we're not in a mile zone, so
They're getting forgotten about.
yeah, DeWine has not opened it up. PA has 2 counties that are being helped, and we have one town here being helped,
And it's right here.
1 zip code. PA's
And
getting a lot
not
more than
everybody
that.
even in that zip code is getting help.
No.
Right.
Because
Still
there's
getting
that
biased.
imaginary 1 mile dome.
All right, guys, can we keep on track? I'm sorry, I know this is, you know, very important to everyone. And I do think, you know, I've talked a lot about Negley too. You know, that water runs straight down to Negley. So I have been speaking on that, but we also need to get our government involved. You know, unfortunately, Trent is just, you know, the East Palestine mayor. So I can help you guys. River Valley Organizing is here for the long haul. I have just talked to people in PA. So if there are representatives from Negley, I definitely see that they are being neglected, and I'm willing to help in any way that I can. And I'm sure EPA can kind of answer, I'll let them answer as to what the EPA has been doing or hasn't been doing in Negley.
And as far as Negley and the wells, you need to contact the county health department, because they're the ones that are in control of that. So you need to call them and get on them, and, you know, they are working in partnership with the EPA, but, you know, the county health department, those 3 trustees down there need to be, you know, so, haven't seen very much of them,
No.
so.
Well, they come down to test our well, and they said they couldn't do it because they couldn't bypass our filtration system. So they just left.
We're at, where you at?
Right down by the tracks. Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a bunch of people get upset with me. There's a guy in Unity Township I tried to help. Couldn't get very many calls, but he has elected officials too, and, you know, I have the village to worry about, and yes, there's stuff in the village that isn't right too. We've been working on it. I disagree with the 1 mile radius, and that's not how it was presented to any of us, but that's what it is, and I disagree with it. I've had many conversations with Norfolk Southern. I think it's, you know, it was just like the checks. It was 44413, and I know Negley deserved checks, but I can't fight. I mean, I came to everything in Negley. I tried my best, but as, you know, an elected official, I am the mayor of the village of East Palestine. You have
Call
3
every-
commissioners.
We get that.
They should be fighting. They should be up at Norfolk Southern fighting for their residents.
DeWine should be.
Yes.
DeWine should be. And I agree with, you know, the way the 1 mile.
Oh, I have
radius
that.
is, I've been raised on
your
that.
day
Was
off,
the 1
spend
mile
it there.
radius was for the
They'll
shrapnel. That if that tanker would have exploded, those were the people that were gonna get the shrapnel. It was never addressed with the pollution. And that's one of my problems, is Norfolk Southern is in control of this. They're the ones that are now saying, basically, people that are only getting sick are within that 1 mile. Right. And I also feel like they're being left to determine to kind of play God, saying you can relocate, you can't, you're throwing a fit, so I'm gonna give you an extra $1,000. I feel like that's where our government should be stepping in.
Some are getting houses, some are getting.
Possibly the EPA should be saying, this is the zone where people are getting sick, and these are the people that need to be evacuated. I feel like we've been victimized, and now we have to go to that person who victimized us and beg for stuff that they owe us.
But EPA is right on board with testing from Norfolk. Is negative matches.
Well, why are they suing? That's my
Well,
question.
yeah, I mean, I was telling you about one very specific soil.